everybody, Holly Schindler here, author, illustrator, and writing teacher. And today I'm going to hit you with an idea that might at first seem a little controversial. There is no such thing as pantsing. I bring this up now because we're about to move deeper into the I have an idea for a novel, now what writing series, which is aimed at helping to guide you through getting through that first draft of your novel. And the method I'm going to use is pretty heavily plot driven. And the reason for that is, you really can't teach pantsing in the first place. And then the second, I really just don't believe there is any such thing as pure 100% pantsing. Now, if you're new to these terms, there are supposedly two different camps of writers, right? There are the writers who say they're plotters, meaning they outline completely their novel first before they sit down to draft anything. And there are writers who say they can't work that way, that they are pantsers, meaning they fly by the seat of their pants and just let it rip and come up with the novel as they go along. But I've learned a few things about both of those terms as I went through some pretty painful first drafts of my own. I've always said I was a plotter, but those early outlines of mine were not really complete outlines. What they really were, what I was doing was basically putting a really vague idea down in outline form. That was it. And those outlines only were lists of events, what I thought would take place physically in the novel, keeping in mind, the turning points, the inciting event. I would get a list of all these events that I wanted to happen in my novel, and I was not outlining character arcs. I wasn't taking into account theme. So when I went to actually begin drafting this book, I had to plug all that in on the fly, right? I was actually pantsing that part of the book. And when I worked that way, it didn't take long for my outline to begin not to make sense with what I was actually drafting. So I would try to limp along, but I kind of compare it. It's sort of like, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of laying a laminate floor, some sort of floor in your house. You can lay a few rows and everything seems okay for a while, and then you might get a row that's, say, just like a hair off, and you say to yourself, oh, it's not bad, I'll just keep going. And then 3 more rows after that, now the hair is about half an inch, and you're beginning to realize, I'm going to have to tear these rows back up, go to the point where it began to get off, and fix this. And similar things have happened to me drafting my books. I can get, say, like a hair off from what my original outline was and think, oh, it'll be okay, it'll work itself out. And in writing, I have never had it just magically work out. And I have never had it stay at just a little hair off, right? I mean, once it starts to go haywire, it continues. And that little hair, just like when you're laying a floor, that little hair becomes suddenly a bigger and bigger and bigger problem. I get to about 75% into this book, and my outline had long ago ceased to have any relevance at all. And at that point, I wouldn't even really know what to do, right? I mean, what's the best use of your time at this point, right? Do you go ahead and write to the end and figure out what you think the end is now? But then again, you're going to have to go back to the beginning, and you're going to have to fix so many things from, about the 10% mark on, that you think, okay, well, I'm going to fix so many things there. Is this ending I'm about to draft irrelevant? But then again, whatever I think the ending is now will have an impact on the beginning when I go back to revise. And it was such a mess. It's why my early first drafts were always so painful. I would get to this point and I was easily distracted even by new ideas. This project had become a mess, and I liked the idea of a clean slate of a new project, and I could get easily distracted by all these new ideas. It was just a mess. So then I'd have this messy first draft in hand, and I would have to come up with a plan of action to revise it. So what was I doing? I was shoring up plot devices. I was coming up with better character arcs. I was figuring out what I really, in fact, needed the theme of this thing to be. And somewhere along the way, it dawned on me, this is plotting. I am plotting again. And it also dawned on me, this is what pantsers always do, right? And so it occurred to me that all of us essentially are plotters. We're just plotting at different ends of the spectrum. Either you're going to plot first and then draft, or you're going to draft and then plot. Which brings me to my second, maybe controversial statement. There is no such thing as plotting either. So here's the thing about plotting, right? There is actually no way to plot an entire book. I mean, no matter how organized you are, no matter how thorough you are, no plot will ever cover every single element of the book, because when you are interacting with language, magical things happen. It just does. Turns of phrases and the way you interact with language changes your idea of who your character is, of what should happen. It just does. And I really think that's why pantsers say they work the way they do. I don't think that a pantser just simply doesn't want to learn how to plot. I think that they know that they cannot replace that magical interaction with language with any kind of outline. So what I have done is develop basically a hybrid approach, right? I do brainstorm the plot. The plot includes a list of events still, but it also includes character development, character arcs, it includes theme. And as I am plotting, I will go ahead and draft a few of those scenes. I will draft the most important scenes, any turning point, the inciting event. In a romance, I will draft the meet cute, or I will draft the murder scene in my mystery. So I am drafting the most important scenes, and then I will take what I learned from drafting back to my plot, back to my outline. So it's a real back and forth, right? I brainstorm events, I brainstorm character development, I draft a few scenes, take what I've learned from the scenes, come back to that outline, adjust the outline, and then come back and write a few more scenes, or maybe I adjust my scene. So it's a real hybrid approach that gives me both kind of that magic of pantsing combined with a solid structural foundation of plotting. So that's what you can anticipate as we move through the I Have an Idea for a Novel, Now What series. It's a hybrid pantsing plotter approach, okay? Next time, we're going to dive even deeper into some brainstorming and some plotting. For now, I'd like you to continue to write some scenes. If you need a refresher, you need more information on writing scenes, I'd encourage you to go back and watch the first video in this series. I'm also going to post a link in the video description here and in the comments directing you toward a download for my feels method of writing strong scenes. But I would like you to get as much of that, magical interaction with language in as possible before we start doing some hardcore plotting and brainstorming, okay? All right, well, I'll catch you guys next time in the I Have an Idea for a Novel, Now What series. And until then, go write something.